Welcome to the Global News Podcast from the BBC. I'm Nick Miles, and today I'm joined by our Global Affairs reporter and India specialist, Amrasan Ethirajan. Amrasan, today we're getting into the latest on that situation between the Cockroach Janta Party in India, the youth-led movement, and the Modi government. And in spite of a brutal, in many people's minds, police crackdown on Monday, the protesters' enthusiasm has not been dented, has it?
As we speak, even thousands of people are converging in the center of Delhi, where these protests has been happening for weeks. And it is remarkable that they have sustained despite the police crackdown on Monday, in which the protesters say dozens of people were injured. And at the same time, police also said there was violence and some officers were injured. Now, people are still coming. It is an organic movement, what the organizers, they say. And what are the basic demands? Basically, they are calling for educational reforms and also the resignation of the country's Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan, because a key medical exam, a medical school exam paper was leaked a couple of months ago, and the exam was, of course, rescheduled. That was one of the catalysts for this particular movement. And a Supreme Court Chief Justice, once in a passing reference, he talked about how a section of the youth were cockroaches and parasites because they've been involving in activism and protests, even though he later clarified that he didn't mean everyone. It was only those who are bogus and not trustworthy. So now the issue here is what started as spark the cockroaches that has galvanized tens of thousands of people, even though people thought it was only a social media satirical movement with millions of followers, and how this will translate into street activism, political activism. And what you saw was how this momentum has been maintained, and now they are still pressing ahead with the demand for the resignation of the education minister.
What do you see as the potential outcomes from this?
Now, this movement can put pressure on the government, forcing the government to change the cabinet, dropping this education minister. And already what they have done is the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has promised to set up fast-track courts to deal with exam paper leaks, number one. Number two, he also promised to initiate very stringent punishment for those involved in these alleged irregularities in various competitive exams, both in the education sector as well as for jobs in government and other sectors. So they've already extracted concession from the government, but they say they really want to see the resignation of the education minister. How far the government can go, that we have to wait and see, because the government doesn't want to be seen as something weak by accepting to the demands of the protest, because Mr. Narendra Modi has been projecting himself as a strong ruler over the past 12 years. And then, there had been several protests in the past 10 years, but nothing really put pressure on the government like this one. So how far the government is going to accept the demands, that is what we are going to see.
Now, the numbers of people on the streets have been growing. Public support is growing for this. Are you surprised by that?
The whole movement is one of the very rare mobilization of students and youth in India in recent years, even though India witnessed quite a few student movements many years ago. But this is one of the biggest challenges even for the governing BJP. One reason is it has been a spontaneous movement, number one. Number two, people coming from all walks of life. This is cutting across religion, cutting across caste, cutting across the social classes. So it is attracting youth from different walks of life.
And that is because most people can relate to the problems, particularly the desperate need to use your education as a board from which you can leap into the rest of the world. And it's closed off to many people, isn't it?
So India has a youth population of more than 360 million people. That's one of the highest in the world. And there is intense competition for people to prosper, to achieve. What they want is social mobility. And to achieve this social mobility for a good future, these competitive exams are very crucial. that determines your future, where you end up, whether you want to become a doctor, you want to become an army officer, or you want to become an engineer. So these exams play a crucial role in people's lives. That's why people take this seriously. And it was not just one exam this year. There have been repeated paper leaks, alleged irregularities in these competitive exams, which means someone who can pay money can get ahead of the queue, and probably, that's a shortcut route for success. And whereas people who have been preparing for these exams for years, they feel left out. So that bubbling anger for many years, that is what you saw. That's the comment, the cockroach became a catalyst, and it has become a larger issue of accountability. They're asking accountability from the government and questions about governance, because this is a governance issue. How come a government cannot promise a clean and a transparent and verified exam process? That has been the question, and that is why it is bringing people from all across, like from various sections of the society. It is resonating with every family, because these exams can determine your future.
It's galvanised many people across the country. To what extent do you think this represents a real threat for the Modi government?
Now, many people are questioning whether this Cockroach Janta Party's protest, it is going to be a one-off, or if the government accepts the demand, they will taper out, they will move out and do other things, or is it reflecting a broader anger among the youth within the country? So a clear dissatisfaction. Is there any hope about the future? And also, with the economy slowing down, and then the government also promised creating about millions of jobs for the young people, which has not become a reality. So people are finding that the squeeze is happening in all aspects of life. And they are really worried about how we are going to manage to get a job, how we are going to be successful in life. What we see is that economic stagnation, very few jobs, and the technology is also changing. And, the government has been in power for the last 12 years. Now, none of the promises, or many of the promises, have not been fulfilled. So is it going to see more protests? But this is clearly an opportunity for those who want to raise their voice against what they see as bad governance or questioning the government. So social media is not something where millions of followers, whether how this can be used to mobilize people. That is, people have been shown now, even though there were protests against the government before, they were tackled in a different way, they were used force, and they were dispersed. But this one is where the young people, they are social media savvy, coming together, and they can raise other issues in future. And if they want to stop with this, that is up to them. But they have been shown a way where they can put pressure on the government to come and talk to them and want them to listen to the grievances over the years.
And people have come from outside the political mainstream to create this party. Do you see this as a one-off or perhaps a template for future parties?
The anger was bubbling for a while. There's a disillusionment, simmering tensions and anger, and the disillusionment was going on for years because of, the lack of opportunities for young people. And people want to, move socially upwards. And this is what they want is enough opportunities. Now, this has given them a platform to express their views. Now, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in the last 24 hours, he has come out with quite a few statements saying they will do these fast-track courts. That itself, many people see how they are making the government to come and talk to them. The government is also a little bit worried. If you look at what happened in neighboring countries like Bangladesh and Nepal, any violence or you can trigger more protests because the big movements, it only needs a spark where it can turn into a much more wider protests against the government. So the fact that they are putting pressure on the government, they are arguing with the government to make those changes seen as a success. But in the long term, whether they want to enter into the political arena, now it is more of a movement, that is a different story, because to get into politics, you need to organize yourself. You make yourself accessible to everyone. And India is a huge country with the different languages and religion, different regions. To establish a political party, it takes a different type of energy to challenge the government. But what it has shown them is how far they can question the government. They have made it very clear they want accountability from the government.
Thanks, Ambrasan. And we'll obviously continue watching what's going on in India very closely indeed. And if you want to hear more from the Global News podcast, just click on the link below. Thanks for watching.